I always tell Melissa this, right? She hates when I say this. She knows what I'm going to say too. I'm like, I don't mind being homeless. Like, if we have to be homeless, that's fine with me, because I feel like my arm is mad long. Did you see this comment about getting struck? Like, what's going on about? She's like, yeah, I made a video private. I'm like, you made the video private? What video you talking about? She's like, yeah, my nipples was out. I'm like, your nipples was out on the video? Welcome to the Bamboo Project Podcast, where you will see how we turn our life into a living. So I want to start off by giving a shout out to the Bamboo Project family. I appreciate every single one of you for tuning in every week. This may be your first episode, but for everyone else, this is episode 45. And if this is your first episode, you have a lot of catching up to do, okay? And for people who do not have YouTube Premium accounts, you can stream this podcast on all the major streaming platforms such as Apple, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Anchor, Breaker, Radio Public, Castbox, Overcast, and Pocket Cast, okay? And for everyone who's listening to this podcast and not watching it, you can see the video on YouTube. The name of the channel is The Bamboo Project, okay? Where we have over 300 videos on our channel of cooking tutorials, travel lifestyle vlogs. We got tips on makeup, hair growth, basketball, real estate, and everything us, okay? So, if you want to see our day-to-day behind the scenes of how we get all of this phenomenal, amazing things done, you can check us out on social media. Mine is DonivanGray, DonivanGray, and my beautiful, phenomenal girlfriend is Anita Byrne, ANETABURN. We have multiple different projects, okay? We're doing a lot on this side. We have a food project. We have a music project, a clothing project, a fitness project, a sports project, and we have the Bamboo Project Podcast, which you're listening to right now. If you want a preview of what this episode is going to be about, there will be timestamps in the description below, whether you are on YouTube or streaming the podcast. You can go down there and see every segment of what we're going to be talking about today. Today's date is January 26th, and we are starting the podcast super late, Mad real estate stuff was happening. I was editing podcasts. I was editing videos, basketball, real estate, mad things. We're just doing stuff. But you already know we try and get it done by 10 a.m., but we still get it done on Tuesdays, all right? So people who are new, we have 4 segments on the podcast, okay? The first segment is the life update. That's when I tell you what I went through last week. Second segment is episode playback. That's when I go over last week's episode and I go, you know what? Maybe somebody pointed something out to me that I didn't already see or I didn't notice. So now I'll kind of recap that in episode playback. We have Donovan's questions. I've been told I'm a very profound individual. So I decide that when I have a question, I present it to you guys and no context, just a question. And then you guys can either answer it in the comments or just think about it yourself. And then the final segment is the topics of the day. All right. So you guys already know, if you've been tuning into the podcast, you know how we're trying to start Airbnb. Actually, I know I shouldn't say that. I'm actually getting comfortable more with saying what we actually are doing, because it's not Airbnb. We will use Airbnb, but we are starting a housing company. That's what it is. I mean, we're not calling it corporate housing anymore, just housing. We're starting a housing company that utilizes third-party platforms such as Airbnb, okay? So I'm going to give you an update of what happened last week about that, because I think I had said I was going to kind of save it for this week. We decided that we will put off moving to Atlanta for a couple of months, right? And here's why. The process of us getting approved for the units in Atlanta were a little bit more, tedious than we thought, right? Now, there are different options that we can do or go with to get to Atlanta as far as doing a single family. We could just try and do it where we just get an apartment ourselves and then just Airbnb it, or, use it for Airbnb and just not tell nobody. I don't really want to do that. That would be my last resort. People are doing that. So I'm just like, that's another option too. But what we plan to do is, in several months from now, we are going to go to Atlanta for a whole week, and we are going to go to apartments. We're going to rent a car and go to apartments every single day, right? Now, if you guys know, we are both not working. We're both broke, right? So you're probably like, how can you afford to do this? Well, this is how. I pay for like a tax repair service through a referral that I got from my cousin. They used it to get into the unit that they're in, and they said, hey, listen, he does business. You guys should probably check him out. He fixed my credit immediately. It was great. Everything was good. I said, okay, I'm going to do that. And he was saying that he could get me tens of thousands of dollars in funding. He can raise my credit limit up, or my credit limit. He can raise my credit score, and he can raise the amount of credit that I'm approved for, right? So one of the issues that we had when we were in Atlanta is that they wanted a 73 business credit score, 73. And we don't have any score right now at all because we haven't been, incorporated that long. It's only been maybe 2 months. So now that we're incorporated, we're like, okay, we need to work on our business credit. He was like, listen, I try to average, or the minimum I do is 80. So I'm like, you know what, bet. I'm going to trust you to do your job, because I feel like that's what you have to do at this point. We have to be networking with people and trying to build a team. You have to trust somebody. Trust people in general. I'm like, hey, listen, bet. I paid $2,500 to go and get that set up, and we're going to see how that goes. The money that I get from that, I'll use for funding for that business, as well as other businesses that I'll get into later in the podcast. The money that comes from that will be what we use to survive in Atlanta for that week. We will either be getting clothes, we'll have to get a rental, and we'll have to get somewhere to stay for that week. And the plan is every day that we're down there, just go to multiple units, because multiple complexes. Even might do some single families, because what I've realized is that some buildings do not sign corporate leases. They don't have corporate leases. However, they do allow you to sign as a business on their regular lease. So when we called, a lot of them said we don't have corporate leases, and then we were like, okay, we didn't go to them. Now we go back. We're going back with a vengeance. We're going back. We have our scripts. We know the game plan, and that's what we're gonna do when we go back down there in a couple of months from now. I was told by, his name is AJ from the tax repair. He was saying that it takes about 3 to 6 months to get the credit up to where, up to par. I'm like, fine, we could wait that time, because the moratorium is actually not up or doesn't expire until May. They moved it back again, so we're not going to get evicted until then. So everything is going to be good as far as that goes. Once we get the money from that, honestly, once we get enough money, what do you think about covering the rent for this building?
What do you mean?
Like paying for the rent here. Would you want to do that?
Depends.
Because I'm thinking about if in any way having this rent here messes us up, if we have it paid for before we go, it might help us. We can use this building as a referral.
Yeah, that's true.
So, we might do that too. We're working over here. We're doing a lot of things. We're trying to figure out exactly how we're going to turn our life into a living, stop being broke, and, be rich and all the other good stuff. Like I said, a lot of things happened down there in Atlanta as far as, not in there, when we got back, that pertained to Atlanta. They wanted tax returns. We don't have tax returns. They wanted a higher business score. We don't have a higher business score. They wanted referrals. We don't have referrals either, or references for bank references, credit references, apartment complex references. We didn't have any of those things, right? So we say, you know what? It's better. Let's wait it out, stack the money up, try and do some business stuff here, and then make some money. Then we go down there, we have even more money. One of the reasons why we decided to do this route is because we've been watching Undercover Billionaire, right? We watched all of the first season, and we started the second season. And what we realized watching the show is that one thing that all of them do in both seasons is, one, you have to sell. So you have to have the ability to sell what you want to do to somebody else. Two, you have to be able to, is it market? No. What is the second one? You have to be able to build a team. That was the second one. It was networking and building a team and being able to sell yourself, right? And, more or less being able to flip. One thing that I noticed from all the people that were on there is that for them to become a millionaire or to have a business worth $1 million within 90 days, they weren't looking to work for it. They weren't looking to say, okay, how much hours can I put in to make $1 million? They were looking at, how can I flip this, vegetarian or drink for a certain amount of money? How can I flip cars? One guy, he found random tires on the street and flipped the tires for $400. If you don't know, Undercover Billionaire is a show where they give current multi-millionaires or wealthy people who have net worth of over $100 million. Some of them are billionaires. And they say, hey, here's $100, a truck, and we're going to put you in a random state in America. And your job is to, without using your name, you have to get from all your connects get from $100, no house, only a car, to having a business that is worth $1 million in 90 days. And like I said, if you guys watch it, I definitely think that the Discovery Channel is better than Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime. They have so many shows on there that I think are phenomenal shows. If you don't have it, I would suggest go out and check to see if you could get Discovery Channel's amazing shows on there. So that's when we started watching that. We started got hooked. Like, okay, I want to sell now. Like they were selling hard. I'm like, I want to sell. I want to get into the selling thing. I want to like get into that entrepreneur like life. I always tell Melissa this, right? She hates when I say this.
No.
She knows what I'm gonna say too. I'm like, I don't mind being homeless. Like, if we have to be homeless, that's fine with me, because I feel like my arms look mad long on here. Why does it look like that? It looks crazy. I don't know why my arms look so long. Either way, I don't mind being homeless. So I think that I want to test myself to see, can I do what they do in Undercover Billionaire? Can I go from nothing to $1 million company? And I always feel like, because I have a nicer apartment, because my life is pretty well and pretty good, I feel good most of the time, it's like, it takes away from your drive. So, and I don't want anything to take away from my drive. I want it to be, if I want to work as hard as I can, I don't want to be like, I feel good today. I don't want to. No, I want to be passionate every single time I wake up. So when your life is good, it's kind of hard to find that drive. So I'm like, damn, if I was homeless, living in a van or something, I might have that drive to do that. Also, when you live or you have, amenities or things like that, excuse me, you're attached to a lot of bills. You're attached to your television. You're attached to your couch. You're attached to a lot of frivolous things that you don't really need. And if I could just throw those things away and not have to worry about them, and I only focus on becoming successful, I probably would be successful. Well, I'd be wealthy. I feel like I'm already successful, just not wealthy. So that's kind of what I always tell Melissa, like, we should just be homeless. Let's just try being homeless for like a couple of months and see what happens. She's not a fan of the idea. So like I said, that's kind of how we started going. Like, we're hell bent. Like I say, it's in every video that I am hell bent on getting to Atlanta. It is the place of dreams. I think that's what it's called. I don't know. I might have made that up. But for me, I want to be in Atlanta very, very badly. And funny enough, I don't know if this is because we watch a lot of YouTubers who are in Atlanta, but I feel like everybody we watch is in Atlanta. I feel like every YouTuber that we watch is in Atlanta. Pretty Boy EXO. I might watch Clarence's videos and Mod's videos, and obviously Dara and Ken. Aaliyah's face is down there. I feel like it's like 3 other people that we watch that are in Atlanta that we didn't even know were in Atlanta, and they just be in Atlanta. And yeah, everybody, and we're like, well, where are they from? Atlanta. So funny enough, we might end up down there running into these people like, hey, shit, what's up? So, because now we are YouTubers. We have 410 subscribers. So now we're doing it. 409. Well, listen, whoever unsubscribed, listen, this is what I noticed too with YouTube. Right before we get more subscribers, it goes down in number. So I'm like, we want to have like 412 when I look at it later today. So listen, we're famous now, all right? I'm waiting for the brand deals to come in. I got 412 subscribers. I'm like, where's the $1 million brand deals? I should be on TV already. So they slacking. What is one reason why I'm also deciding that we should wait to go to Atlanta is because I kind of use my feelings for my decisions, right? And what I mean by that is not necessarily my emotional feelings, but more so how I connect with the things around me and how my body is physically feeling. One of those indicators for me is when I feel like I'm trying to force something to happen. If I feel like I'm trying to force something to happen, I'm like, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't be doing this. And that's very different between working hard for something and trying to come up with every little way to make something happen. I feel like last week there was a point in time where it's like 2 days where I was just looking for something to do because I had nothing to do. I'm like, I had to wait for somebody to call us back for the apartment. I was waiting for somebody to contact me back about being a reference. I was waiting to hear back from, I think, my sister about lending and using tax returns. And I was waiting back to hear from somebody about my credit repair. And I was like, okay, I have to wait for 5 people to contact me back. I should be trying to contact somebody else. Let me call somebody. I was just trying to do so much. And I decided, or I already know, that when that happens to me, I should just have to sit down. Like when I start feeling like that, like I'm trying to force something to open or trying to break it open, I go, Donivan, just sit down and do nothing, because choosing to do nothing is actually still doing something. So when I did that, I said, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm just gonna sit down and watch Naruto with Melissa. We're just gonna sit down and watch Naruto. That day that happened, somehow I started getting a bunch of calls about properties. I was getting calls back about I'm talking about wholesaling properties. I was getting calls back about the what is it called? I was getting calls back about the Atlanta stuff, emails about that, and everything just started coming at one time. And I feel like whenever I see that I'm trying to force something open, I should just take a break. So, like I said, that's something, and I hate the feeling though, because people who work hard, or who are, I guess, high energy type people, or just who are highly motivated type of people, you want to feel like you're doing something all the time. And when you're doing nothing, it feels terrible. You're just like sitting there like, damn, I don't know. I gotta do something. I gotta figure out something to do. But it's like limbo. So I was there that day, kind of figuring out like, damn, should I do? I gotta do. Maybe I should make the bed. Maybe I should clean the floor. Maybe I should call this person. Maybe I should do something. I was trying to figure out something to do, and like I said, I realized that for me in that situation, the best thing to do was nothing. That was the best thing to do, was just sit down and just do absolutely nothing, and it worked out for the best. And it also allowed me to recalibrate what I wanted to do as far as Atlanta. So I was like, okay, now that I see what's happening and what's transpiring with our idea to move to Atlanta we're trying to move there by February 1st, right?
So 4 days from now.
Yeah, we
Like 5, like 6, like a week.
right. And like I said, I feel like we could have. There's always a way to do something, right? I think there's always a way to do anything. However, this is my. I always feel like there's a way to do everything. I feel like you can break something enough time that it'll finally work. And I don't know if that's a better way to do something or actually the worst way to do something. So, Melissa, let me ask you this. What do you think about if we went to Atlanta with no idea what to do and try to figure something out?
I wouldn't be opposed to it.
Mm-hmm. So you'd be homeless?
I don't want to.
Uh-huh.
I don't.
Uh-huh.
Like, I strongly don't want to.
Yeah.
I don't mean that. I mean like I wouldn't mind putting the money that we do have into living somewhere and then figuring out from there. Mm-hmm. Not from the homeless there. We never start.
The reason I asked this is because I have talked about this before on the podcast, right? And I think people who are planners suffer from analysis paralysis, and I feel like that can happen to me sometimes. Where
Donivan was trying to analyze every single thing that the apartments can say no to before sending in the application and just figuring it out.
Yes. So the reason why I tend to do that is because I'm like, okay, you know what? If I can solve all the problems that I think they might bring up, that means that, okay, I have a better chance of succeeding because I've solved all the problems that I think might arise. Now, I think this is so funny because the people who I'm the closest to view me very differently than the people that are like in my second circle, which it means like people like Melissa is the closest person to me. She's the person I'm with all the time. She sees me every single day, right? And I always find it funny because do you think that I'm the type of person that makes random decisions?
Absolutely not.
Right? And I think that's funny because everybody else outside of Melissa, who's not, even when I was closer with Hunter and things like that, people think that, like anybody that's not in my immediate circle that I hang out with on a regular basis thinks I make crazy rash decisions. And I find it to be so funny because the people in my immediate circle are like, I'm very calculated. I need to plan everything out. I'm analyzing everything. And then I get a phone call and they're like, yeah, you just be making crazy decisions. I don't know. You just be doing wild stuff. And I'll be like, that is just so funny to me. That's why I asked you.
Because this is why.
Okay.
Because the people that's not in your immediate circle don't know. So all they hear is, what? You okay? Your bike stopped working. Oh, damn, that's crazy. What? You're in real estate? Okay, that's interesting. All right. You wholesaling? What is that? Oh, okay. Next thing you know. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
To do what?
Yeah.
Airbnb. I mean, corporate housing.
Right.
So it's like.
And I just find that funny because, like I said, that happens all the time with anybody, like my mom, my sisters, my dad, my aunts, my cousins. They're just like, you just be doing crazy, like you just be doing stuff without any type of like thought behind it. I'm like, that's not really the case, but I think it's funny that y'all think that, because I'll be here analyzing stuff all night, all hours, just thinking and saying, I don't know. I think Melissa would love if I was like that. Melissa was like, yeah, Donovan, let's do this. I'm like, yeah, let's go. You just don't think about nothing.
It's funny. I feel like I'm more so the one that's.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. You'd be like, all right, they have houses in Atlanta. Let's go right now. I'm like, Melissa, yes, they have houses in Atlanta. That does not mean that we will be able to actually go over there and live down there. But Melissa be like, all right, you said they have doors and houses. We could get one. I'm just like, that's not how that works. So like I said, I just find that to be really funny that happens, because like I said before, I hate being in limbo, and limbo comes from me analyzing things and trying to figure stuff out for like, so my brain goes into, okay, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5, step 6. Okay, I got 8, 9, 10. I got this. I got the next step, and I'm just like, you know what? All right, I think I finally have the decision that will have the best possible outcome. Let's do that one. And then work from there. That's how my brain works for me personally. So, I'm, a lot of other people probably also suffer from that too. The last part with the Atlanta situation is why I really want to go there. As you guys already know, I love the whole black situation there. And one thing that Melissa brought up to me, which I found to be something I've never even thought about before, right, is she said that when she goes down there, she probably won't even have to put in black esthetician in Google or whatever, or search for it, because everybody will probably be black. And I think that that's something that other people of other races, I don't know if other people do that, like Asian people do that or not, or like Indian people, because I'm pretty sure white people do not put in where's the nearest white esthetician. Pretty sure that never happens. They just go esthetician and they just go to that one that's there. But black people are like, nah, I need one that's black. So I'm thinking about it now when I go to Atlanta. It's probably gonna be situations where we just go to places and they're just black. People who are black know what I'm talking about. People who are not black, I really don't know if Asians do that. Do they put in like Asian and then where they're trying to go? Like the Asian store, or like the Asian sneaker market, or like I don't know if people do that.
I feel like typically, because Asia encompasses a lot.
Facts.
Russia, China, Japan, Korea.
So you think they put in Russian esthetician?
I think that honestly, people from other countries tend to live in pockets.
Yes, I agree with that.
So you would just go to whoever's in your pocket. But I feel like because of how it depends on how you migrate here. I feel like that's where it comes from. So if you're black and they took you here, you don't really get a chance to try to establish something. And even when you try to establish, stuff happens. They fuck it up. Mm-hmm. So I think that we don't have those communities within like the black culture or American black culture, I guess. Mm-hmm. But I know that there would be like I didn't even know how many Jamaicans were in the Bronx until so I think that they have pockets like that, so you have people to go to. And I know the Jewish community is very much like that as well, so I feel like as long as you have that, you don't have to really go out and look.
Yeah, you just put, because I'm thinking about it too. When I was living in the Bronx, I don't know if I necessarily would I didn't go to Jamaican spots on purpose. I didn't purposely say I'm going to go to a Jamaican spot, but I never put black. I don't remember ever putting black and then whatever I'm trying to find over there. Because I lived in uptown Jamaica. So, or little Jamaica. So, but yeah, that's the last thing I want to say about Atlanta, which I find to be very exciting when we get there. Also, people who have been watching the podcast, the last 2 episodes, you guys are familiar with the fact that my beautiful, phenomenal, amazing girlfriend, Melissa, Burnette over here, she was informed that her vagina was on the internet. right? And we had 2 episodes about this, the last 2 probably, where we spoke about this. Now, this could be irony. This could be God. This could be the universe or laws of attraction, whatever you want to call it, right? Because shout out to one person who actually held it down and said something about this. Lucian, I think that's his name. He was like, hey, I'm surprised you had to get strike for this. I'm like, strike for what? Right? And lo and behold, in the comment is a timestamp. I'm like, a time? What's going on? Now, I woke up in the middle of the night, right? I went to go pee, and I came back, and I saw this, and I'm like, what is he talking about? So I go and I check, and the comment is gone. I'm like, oh, this must be some spam. Like, this is obviously spam or something, right? So I'm thinking, let me find a video. The video is not there either. I'm like, what the I'm like, damn, maybe there was something out on the internet that Melissa's pussy was showing, and now we got, the video taken down. So Melissa started, like, shaking around in the bed a little bit. I'm like, hey, yo, babe, you awake? Yeah, you seen this comment about getting struck? Like, what's going on about? She's like, yeah, I made a video private. I'm like, you made the video private? What video you talking about? She was like, yeah, my nipples was out. I'm like, your nipples was out on the video? She was like, yeah. I'm like, Melissa, what video your nipples out? She was like, she showed me the video. It was one of the cold calling videos for real estate, and it was just like, yeah, I was trying to find it because the guy said 8 minutes, right? So I'm like, all right, let me go find this video. So I went on YouTube Studio to look for it. I'm like, I'm gonna find this nipple on this video because I'm gonna see it. I want to see what he's talking about. Maybe he's lying, maybe a scam. I don't know, or a spam. I go, all right. I'm looking. I go to the 8 minute mark. I don't see nothing. I'm like, they just playing games. This is what YouTube is about. People just coming on here lying, saying nipples is out and they're not out. A whole 8 minutes. I'm damn near 3 minutes in. I'm like, I haven't seen not one nipple yet. So I think Melissa woke up again later. I'm like, yeah, I ain't see it. The nipple. She was like, yeah, it's there. Check it. I'm like, all right. So instead of going forward, right, I watch the video again. But this time I go backwards. Bruh. Melissa's nipples out for like 2 minutes straight. The whole 2 minutes, her nipples just out, flailing around on the couch. It's just there, bouncing. It's just, and I'm like, how did this happen? Like, how is her nipple out, just out and about? And the video has almost 100 views, and not one person, not anybody said, hey guys, your nipples, shame on you guys. Shame on you guys for looking at Melissa's nipples, probably screenshotting it, and you have it in your phone. Shame on all of y'all for that. Shame on all of y'all. They got it in their phone, Melissa. Your nipples is out there in the universe. So now when you're famous, it's going to be in the shade room. They're going to be like, oh, Melissa's nudes just got leaked. It's going to be a nipple just showing, right? So the reason, and this is what ended up happening, or what I believe happened, right? When you edit on Final Cut Pro, right? When you put a blur effect, it doesn't trace the object. It only stays in that one spot. So if you cut let's say that the video is 2 minutes long, right? And then you cut the actual video at 1 minute and you put a slice there, the blur has to be added to that second part of the video, right? That's, even though it was there the first time, once you cut it, it might go away. So now you have to re-add the blur every single time that you are, every single time that you cut, you have to add the blur there. If you don't, that section will not have the blur there. So for whatever strange reason, what?
I don't think that's what happened.
What do you think happened?
I think that it's crazy because it moved out the way.
Yeah, that is tried. Well,
the blur
yes.
was still there. It just moved completely out the way to the other side of the video.
Yes.
So I think what happened was, when I was editing it, I edited the blur there, and I might have undid something, tried to undo something, and it might have undid the blur because it went to where it needed to be for the next shot.
Yeah.
But not where it.
The first 2 minutes.
Yeah.
It wasn't there. And when I first watched the video, I was looking at, I'm watching it, right? I'm like, I don't see no nipples out. And I'm like, why is Melissa blurring out the laptop? That's kind of strange. I'm like, what kind of personal information is on the laptop? And I'm looking like, I wonder I'm like, maybe her nipple. I'm like, oh, her nipple was probably on the screen and she tried to blur that out. No, I was wrong. That's not where it was. Her nipple was just out.
Going forward, if I'm naked in the video, y'all just gonna see a black screen.
Listen, listen, this is what I realized too, because YouTube is the GOAT for this. YouTube has a tracking option for blur. So what we had to do was go back and put in the actual blur from YouTube Studio, and it tracks her nipple throughout the whole video. So it just blocks it out. You guys can't see her magnificent areolas. You guys can't see them. So the reason that I brought this up is because I find it to be very funny that the 2 weeks prior, I was ranting about how Melissa's pushing out on the internet. She's not out here doing this craziness with the OnlyFans. And then what happens? Nipples is out. People seeing it. It's probably somebody's screensaver now. Honestly, it's probably gonna be a meme. It's probably gonna be somebody's. It's probably gonna be on somebody's head or something.
Next topic.
I'm telling you, it's gonna be like, I'm waiting. Watch, when we famous, it's gonna come out. When we famous, it's definitely gonna come out. Melissa nipple gonna come out, and somebody gonna be like, "Yeah, I'll charge you money to not show this." You're like, listen, just show it. It's a nipple. People have nipples. So, I said that was the irony, or the God and the universe and the laws of attraction being like, "Oh, you thought you were just gonna be out here talking about nakedness and nothing's gonna happen to you?" So here we are. Now, I want to get a little bit into the panoramic going on. Okay, if you guys have an iPhone, you guys know that we're in a panoramic right now. So right now we're in a parsimonious. Okay, and as you guys know how I feel about a parsimonious. All right. Listen, I think that there's some lies going on about this parsimonious, and I feel like this is one of the reasons why I say that. Okay, now you guys already know that we are living in the wildest parsimonious that's ever happened in existence, right? So y'all already know what's causing this parsimonious. So pretty much here's what's going on, right? I always say on here that I think that this whole pandemonium, parsimonious thing that we're going through in 2020 is ridiculous. And the reason I say it's ridiculous is because I feel like the solution that we have decided as people, or have been given to us as a solution, is worse than the actual problem. As I said last week, if you are lumping in all the people that have died from it and you're putting them all in the same category, even though some of them were probably already sick, some of them already overweight, whatever the case might be, you are making the pandemonium worse than it actually is. You're making the pancreas, everything is getting worse, right? Now, I think that this is not a realistic thing, and this is why. In the Miami Heat, if you look this up, they plan on using dogs to sniff out whether or not you're infected. Okay? Now, if you believe that a dog has the ability to tell whether or not that you have the virus in you, then this is a problem, because they're coming up with any and every little, they're making stuff up at this point. And I feel like people are not seeing it. They're like, yeah, it's really, really bad. It's really bad. And wear a mask, but also wear a scarf, but also put your hand over your mouth, and also pull it down when you eat, but then put it back up after you eat, because while you're eating, it might get worse. They're coming up with ridiculousness. Every day, it's something crazy. I remember one time I read an article, right? You're probably gonna think I'm lying when I say this, right? People who are taller are more likely to get sick by the disease because the air will hit them first, right? Now, as I say, you're probably like, what the fuck are you talking about? Okay? There were articles I was reading that people who are taller would get sicker because they're taller. Now you're telling me we're going to have dogs to go out and sniff people to go, this one definitely has it. And you know what the dog does if you have it? The dog will sit down. I did not make this up. This is in the article. They are saying that the dog will sit down if you have it, and then you can't come into the stadium and watch the game. Then they also had Kyrie Irving. I believe this is what they showed on the video. I don't know how true this is, but he was penalized for going out and hanging out with his family during the pancreas, right? Now, he wanted to do a jersey swap. If you guys are familiar, people in NBA, they'll say, hey, I like you. You're a good player. I think you're going to be great. I want to swap my jersey with you. I give you mine. I take yours. It seemed as though one of the staff was highly upset and ran over and stopped Kyrie Irving from swapping his jersey with another player, right? Now, explain to me how it's okay for these players to play for 48 minutes, over an hour, running up and down, sweating next to each other, coughing, sneezing, breathing, maybe bleeding right next to each other for 48 minutes so you can make some money. And then it becomes a problem if they want to swap jerseys. They have to wear a mask on the sideline. It's ridiculous. It's like, why are we coming up with these crazy quote unquote solutions to solve this problem? I always believe when the solution is this crazy, it's probably not a real problem. Like it's probably not as bad as people made it out to be. And honestly, this is what I've learned the most about this whole pancreas that we're in right now. The biggest issue is that we or people go to the hospital when they feel sick. That's the biggest problem. The problem is not the death rate. That's not the problem. The problem that they even said when it first happened is that everybody felt sick, so everybody went to the hospital at the same exact time. And the country was not made for that many people to go to the hospital at the same time. Honestly, the majority of things in the world are not made for that, whether it be Signal, the app, whether it be police officers. If everybody at one time decided we were going to go out and revolt and do some crazy shit, there are not enough cops to stop us from doing that. There's not, the bandwidth is too small for anybody to try and force everybody in America at one time to do something. So when we all decided that, hey, I'm sick, I think y'all scared me half to death about this fucking calamity that we have going on, I'm going to go to the hospital, right? Everybody goes the same thing at the same time. Now the hospital's overfilled. Now I got into a car accident. I go to the hospital to get fixed. Like, we don't have no more space for you. And you're like, what? No more space. Now he died. This person had a heart attack. They come to the hospital, no more space. This person died. That person over there had a concussion or cancer or an aneurysm. They come to the hospital, they can't get seen, they die. And it's like, that's what they were afraid of happening. They weren't necessarily afraid of the actual disease itself. They were afraid that everybody kept coming to the hospital and overflowing hospitals. That's why they decided, you know what we have to do? We have to go out and make a bunch of different fake hospitals in the middle of nowhere to treat people. And honestly, I don't even know how many people actually died in those fake hospitals. If you guys are not aware of what I'm talking about, you can look it up. And in Central Park, they had these makeshift hospital, whatever, in the park, just lying around. And funny enough, they said we don't need that anymore. Again, if you look into this stuff, none of it makes any sense. It makes absolutely no sense. I don't know if it's planned, or I don't know if somebody's using this as a ploy to do something else. I just know that it doesn't make any sense. Excuse me. So, as I said before, the NBA is planning or trying to get, and I talked about this before, I knew it was going to happen. They are going to try and get these huge NBA stars to get vaccinated, right? Why? Because they want everybody else to get vaccinated. All the people that's following them, they want everybody, all the black people following LeBron, all the Spanish people following, I don't know who's Spanish NBA, that's, I think all the Canadians to follow Jamal Murray. They just want everybody to say, oh, look at all these celebrities who are getting vaccinated. We should all do the same thing, right? Now, what was I going with that? It was something else. Oh, I don't know if they're going to make it mandatory or not for the NBA players. They're definitely, quote, encouraging them to do it, which probably means, hey, if you don't do it, you won't get paid. You can't play. You can't come to the stadium. You can't go to practice. You can't do any of those things until you get vaccinated. But we're not going to force you to get it. We're not going to hold you down and put it in your arm. But you can't do anything else here until you get vaccinated, right? And they were talking about having LeBron do it. It would be better if LeBron did it because he's such a big figure. And I'm not sure if I brought this up on the last podcast. Melissa, you could let me know if I did or not. I don't think I did. I think we were just talking about it. I don't see any other ethnicities being pushed to get the vaccine by celebrities. I don't see this concerted effort among, Hispanic baseball players being like, everybody should get vaccinated. I don't see people or Russian hockey players saying, you know what, we all should get vaccinated. I don't see that. I feel like everywhere I turn, they are trying to tell all the black superstars, all the black celebrities, all the black famous people and wealthy people to get vaccinated so that we all can get vaccinated. And I also don't believe, because one of the arguments is that we are the only people, or the largest majority of people, that they are trying to convince us that there's so many black people that don't want to get vaccinated. So that's why there's this media effort to get us vaccinated. And I don't really believe that other ethnicities are not getting vaccinated either, because I feel like a lot of people from different walks of life or different colors or whatever the case might be don't want to get vaccinated. But I feel like it's targeted at black people. Like, I feel like it's only black people that are like, hey, go get the vaccine. You need to get the vaccine. Go get the vaccine. And I went on Clubhouse. People said, oh, this is the reason that this feels so new to us is because we are not used to media targeting us for medical ads. That's not something that we're used to. So now all the money that they have is going into an actual targeted ad campaign for black people to get vaccinated, right? And they were saying this happens all the time with other races. We just don't see it because we're not a part of those races. I don't know how true that is because I feel like it's reaching a point where it's far past just some media outlets kind of get people to get vaccinated. I don't think it's that. I think it's way more of like, okay, we want black people to get vaccinated for what? Y'all know how I feel about it. I think it's some nonsense. I'm not getting vaccinated. I'm not ever trying to get vaccinated. I have no plan of getting no intention of ever getting vaccinated. If y'all want to do that, by all means. Because one thing people try to tell me all the time is that the vaccination is I'm getting a vaccination so I can help everybody else. And it's like they don't even work like that. Vaccinations do not prevent other people from getting a disease. It just prevents you from getting sick from it. If I have a vaccine, it's like, okay, my body knows how to fight this, but I can still give it to you and you don't have a vaccine. So the argument of, okay, I'm trying to save everybody else. I care about my grandmother. I care about my great aunt. I want all of them to be safe. That's not what vaccines are for. And if I'm already healthy, why do I need to get a vaccine? If I'm going to be fine and I get the vaccine and you can still get it from me, why am I getting this vaccine? It makes no sense. So for me, I'm not getting it, right? Now, I want to go back to the NBA thing, right? Y'all know that Kyrie Irving, if you don't know, NBA player, very good, went out with his family during this pancreas. And while he was out with them, it was a whole big thing. Why is he out? He's breaking up the pancreas protocols. He shouldn't be doing that. And he's, endangering everybody else. And I've been comparing, or at least that interview that he did about it, I compare it to like slavery in the sense of being on the slave block. The way he was sitting there answering questions, it was almost like he seemed as though he was doing it because he was forced to do it. He didn't really have an option to do it. The people who asked him questions, they didn't really care about him. They only kind of wanted to berate him for going out and hanging out with his family, I think his sister was having a birthday party. And I think it's so crazy because they really expect NBA players or who are grown men, who have families, who have lives, to not do any of those things because we told you to. If I'm in the NBA and my sister is having a birthday or my dad is having a big event, fuck whatever you guys are telling me. I'm going to the event. I don't care about what you guys are telling me. I don't care. And your argument for protect everybody else in the world is not strong enough for me. You're not going to tell me that to protect the entire world, I have to sacrifice myself and what I want to do for y'all. I'm not doing that. I'm just not going to do that. That's not how I live. And especially if whatever could possibly be transferred through the pancreas or the whatever you want to call it is not that deadly, then it's like, I'm going to go over there, get a cold, and be fine. And you try to tell me that if I get it, I might give it to somebody who has some grandmother, and their grandmother might get it. And because she's old, I need to think about this person I don't know's grandmother and make sure that now, because I don't know this person, right? I don't know her grandmother, but I have to now not hang out with my family because a random grandmother that I don't know might die. That's the option that you have. Think about that. That's the option that you have. You can miss your family's wedding. You can miss your birthday parties that you have with your family. You can miss all of those things because somebody you've never met might die. Possibly. It's a possibility. You don't know. They might live or they might die. I don't know them, no. I'm not taking that. I'm going with my family every single time. That's what it is. So, and the last thing about the life update, I talked to my sister, nephew. You guys are already familiar with her. We did a podcast with her on here. We did an interview, probably episode, I'm going to say like 37, probably something like that. And she was on here. We were talking about stocks recently. And she was saying that she will pay. There's a guy that her dad put her on to. And the guy has guaranteed if you give him $5,000 that he could turn it into like 150 or something like that in a year. Right? Now, it sounds suspicious to me because I always feel like if you can guarantee that, then why not just do it yourself and make that money? Like if you can guarantee turning 5 into 150, why not turn 10 million into 150 million? Like why not turn 150 into $1 billion? Like why not do that? The only thing I can think about, which I've heard Warren Buffett say, is that it's a lot easier to trade at lower amounts of money. But once you start getting to that higher, $1 billion range, it becomes a lot difficult to make the same returns that you did when you were trading, millions of dollars or, hundreds of thousands of dollars. So she was saying that because she has the money and I don't have the money and she doesn't have the time, but as you guys know, I have more time than she does because I don't have a job. I could do the stock trading for her, and we could kind of just split it like that. So that's another option I'm thinking about doing. I'll keep you guys updated with that to let you know if I get any money from that. So on to episode playback. So I was last episode I was talking about working on my pacing. You guys probably heard it now. One thing I feel like I left out last week is, yes, I should inhale, but I need to mix the inhaling with the pauses because I realized that when I was listening back to it, that I would pause, right? But I wouldn't inhale. Or vice versa, where I would inhale, but I wouldn't pause. So it just sounded crazy. And I was trying to inhale in the middle of me talking, and it sounded like me going, okay, and it didn't really work. It just sounded crazy. So I'm still trying to incorporate how to properly breathe while I'm talking, and it's still sounding natural. So that's what I'm working on now. I talked about De'Ara and Ken last week. One of the other things that I had saw in that video was when they were doing their kiss at the end of the video, he had pushed her away, which is another indicator that I felt like he was still kind of not fucking with him at all. But listen, they seem to be doing well. I'm very curious to see how this goes going forward. He started a Twitch channel, which he's doing. Again, I only have outside in as a YouTube viewer to what they're doing. And they posted another video. That video definitely seemed a lot better than the first one. Ken's still talking a lot, which is whatever. That's what he wants to do. But I said we're gonna see what happens. I just think it's very strange how when it comes to the dynamic of men and women, I know that a guy can cheat all the time and a girl won't care as long as the guy says, listen, either you're gonna leave or you're not. And the girl will be like, well, fine. If you do not start, groveling and things like that, you're more likely to stay with the person. But my thought process always goes to, okay, if you cheated before, there's a reason why you cheated or tried to cheat or tried to leave. If that reason doesn't go away, you're going to do it again. And it's going to be down the line later. Or you're going to resent that person and you're going to be just doing fucked up toxic shit to them. And then lastly, the other person will just be spiteful because they remember you tried to cheat on them. So now your whole relationship would just be one of them being spiteful and the other one resenting you. And it just turns into a bad relationship. People do cheat, and what I've seen, like I said, if a guy's gonna cheat on a girl, as long as he says, listen, I cheated, and you're gonna take me back, fine. But that's it. We're not gonna bring this up. We're not talking about this again. That's it. I apologize. I said I was wrong. We talked about it. We figured out a solution for it. That's it. Now I don't want to be eating breakfast one day and you tell me, well, I hope that other girl's eggs better than my eggs. We're not doing that, because as soon as you start doing that, I'm gonna leave. So we're not doing that. And if you come to that mentality, for my experience is that girls be like, oh my God, fine. And then you'll have sex. That's usually what I end up seeing happening. I also was wondering too, now what De'Ara's DMs look like. They probably look crazy when it first happened. I'm pretty sure every celebrity with a check mark was in her DM like, yo, leave his bum ass for me. Like, leave him. And I was wondering, like, could De'Ara get like one of those multi-millionaires? Like one of those, like a celebrity, not celebrity, like an athlete or somebody in that realm who has a business guy. Like De'Ara with a funny business guy. I could see that. I could see De'Ara with like a entrepreneur who has like $40 million, something like that, like a large amount. And he's also cameragenic. So he could be in the camera and laugh with her, stuff like that. But he also has his own business that he's doing by himself. I can see De'Ara being with somebody like that. Because now she's like, ooh, you got money and you could be on YouTube sometimes with me. Oh my God, this is fire. So I'm curious to see how that goes too. Yes, like I said, if somebody with serious money makes a commitment, because this is another thing too when it comes to women. I believe, it's my theories, right? Like 99% true, okay? Your woman will leave you, right? 99% of the time, if she has a guy that's better than you and there's 100% commitment from him, right? Now, you probably, what does that mean? How do you understand what that means? Okay, I'm going to explain it. Girls want to make sure that if they do leave the guy they're with that they say that they love, that they want to marry, have kids with, that if they get the other guy, that he will pretty much erase the whole idea of that other person. So if the girl's dating guy A And guy B has a lot of money. He's a strong guy. He's attractive. He's smart. He's funny. He's a man. He's ambitious. All of those things. And she is for sure that this guy that she's going to leave guy A4 will be with her. He's not going to do no fucked up funny shit. She will leave guy A. And 99% of the time. The only time that I've seen where that won't happen is if guy A is on par with guy B slightly, but they have more time in. If guy A has enough time in and he's still on par with guy B, I feel like, or what I've seen is they'll still stay with guy A because they had that time in. But listen, that's 99% to 1%. So it's not a lot. It's very small, but it will happen. And like I said, I definitely could see a situation where if another guy came to her and was like, listen, I'm going to take care of all this YouTube shit. I'll buy the shade room right now. They won't post shit about you ever again. And we're going to live our life the way we want to live our life. I'm going to come to your family. They're going to like me more. You going to like me more. I'm going to fuck you better than him. I'm going to buy you stuff. We're going to go on places you've never been to before. And all you got to do is leave him. And now we're going to have kids. We're going to have a family, everything else. Girl's going to be like, but how do I know that you're not going to like... And all the guy has to do is, however he does it, is prove that he is serious in his commitment and he's not going to just make a fool out of her. I believe the girl will leave. So that was that on the DK for our part. And do you have an opinion on what I just said?
No, not really.
Okay.
I can see that being the case. Where it's like, if you're giving me everything that I want, like, why would I? Mm-hmm. I don't lose.
Exactly. Excuse me, that's my point. Where it's like, why would I not do that? Like, you're telling me that I don't have to even think about this guy ever again? I don't have to see him again? You're going to make me happy? We're going to smile and laugh and everything's going to be great with you? And my family going to like you more? And you have more money and folk better than him? And you don't cheat? It's like, ugh, this is a tough sell to not do this. So as you guys, that's why I need to be rich. I need to get some money because Melissa, listen. Oh, I have everything else. I just need the money part. When I get the money part, listen, ain't nobody coming over here. Okay? So just let everybody know that. The table? Over here. Right, exactly. Do you know what happened on this table earlier?
No.
But okay. Also, last thing I was comparing Hadassah, my cousin, and Melissa, and I want to verify or clarify this. That my cousin, she likes guys that make her feel vulnerable because she's not used to feeling vulnerable, right? So she will qualify that guy as being a great dude because she's not used to that. So, oh my God, you made me feel a certain way that I've never felt before, right? Now, Melissa, on the other hand, prefers guys that do things for her. I don't think that my cousin, honestly, I've seen this. Doing things for my cousin does not make her like you. If you just spend money on her, take her on dates because she's traveled a bunch of countries, she's used to being and doing a lot of different things, has a nice car, you can't get her with doing things for her, right? However, Melissa, if you were to do things for her, she views that as being great. Like if you were to spend time with her, or what's something that you would like that makes you feel good, not vulnerable. I know you like when we went on multiple dates. I feel like you like that a lot. Yeah.
That's what I was thinking of.
Yeah. When I first took Melissa out on our first date, we had went to 4 places that day. I think we went to the escape room, we went to eat, we went to a comedy show, and we also went to yoga or dancing. Went to the movies. The second day?
First day.
So, okay, the first day we went to the movies.
Mm-hmm. We went to the movies. We went to the
escape room.
We went to the Boomie's place, Dr. Boom, something.
Oh, Uncle Boone's sister.
And then we went to the lounge.
Then we went to the lounge.
Which is, I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about, right? The hotel.
Oh, you're talking about Blue Ribbon Sushi.
Yeah, Blue Ribbon. We went there, and then after that, that's when we went to the comedy show.
And they went to the comedy show, right?
Oh, and the virtual reality place. That was the first date.
In a virtual reality place. That was on the first day, right? The
comedy show wasn't that day then.
Yeah, I think it was that day.
Yeah, it was a virtual reality. Yeah, we did a lot of things.
You're right. Okay, Melissa loves that, right? Now, the second day, I think we did yoga, and then we did Comedy show. Second day was definitely a comedy show. Second day was comedy show, yoga, food.
We did another escape room.
And escape room again. So I don't know if.
Supposed to do the tango lesson that day too.
Yeah, we ended up doing tango the dancing lesson another day. So I don't know if Hadassah would feel the same way about that. She probably would. I mean, it depends.
I think the thing that's really crazy about that, for in a female's perspective, is it's so many things at one time. So
Yeah.
I'm thinking the date is done, but it's not done. He time traveled me.
Right.
That's what it's called.
Yes, it's called time traveling. This is.
I don't want y'all to think that Donovan was just an amazing person that just wanted.
I mean,
to
you
take
feel
me
me?
on all these
Listen,
dates.
am.
He was conning me. It worked.
Listen.
But
We're here, right? You see.
I think that's what appeals to the girls. The fact, because I feel like when you go on a date, the escape room is a date. Maybe the food. I'm not expecting to go do rich reality and something else after that. So
Yeah. So like I said, it's
girls look like that in general.
it's hard for me to compare like me to other guys because come on now, it's me. So I mean, you feel me. So I think that a better example would be of other guys you liked in the past that did stuff for you, and then why you like them back then. I feel like they did things for you. That's why you like them. I don't think they made you feel vulnerable.
I mean, sure.
So I think, and I said we're talking about the ain't shit dudes. So as far as my cousin, the guys are buying her stuff, giving her money all the time, taking her on places, all types of stuff. Want to go on, leave the country with her, right? We did leave the state together. Either way, it's not in the country. We're not talking about that. It's not the conversation. We're not talking about that. And I think that for her is her thing. And last point on this, have both sides of the coin. If you know what gets you, you have to understand, like, okay, I know that this gets me. I know the guys, if they do this for me, they're gonna win me over. You need to understand why that is, and then you need to go, okay, I need to know what about this thing makes me want this guy so much. Why does him make me feel vulnerable, want him so much? And then you work from there. So I don't know what the podcast I would send to people is. What's that about? I don't know if that was Twitch. I don't know. Okay, so I kind of already talked about this earlier. This is Donivan's questions. So the question is, you guys can look this up yourself, do your own due diligence, okay? And y'all can flame me if I'm wrong. Here's the question, okay? Does getting the vaccine stop transmission? Okay, that's the question. I think I'm only going to go to about 2 topics. The first one to talk about is my solution for the internet, right? I think that you should allow anything and everything on the internet. I don't think there should be any laws about what's on the internet, okay? The reason I say that is I think that once you put laws on the internet, you will allow certain people to dictate what can and cannot be said on the internet. And that's you allow somebody else who is not the person actually on the website to determine what can be on the website. Now, Melissa and I talked about this before as far as Twitter goes, right? Excuse me. I think that, and I'm talking about anything. When I say anything, I'm talking about bestiality, pedophilia, murder, anything should be on the internet, right? Now, the reason I say that is, for one, you'll know who the pedophiles are. That's number one. You know who the murderers are. You know all that stuff. You could go and find them. They post this. Here it is right there. That's number one. Number two, if you a person, let's say that you're scrolling, you're like, oh my God, my kid might see that, right? I think a solution would be that you have to put in certain keywords in your posts, in your videos, in your tweets, or anything like that. If you put a video up that does not say this is a murder video, this is a pedophilia video, anything like that, then you could be charged, right? Because then, if let's say that you're watching a video about bestiality, or you put a video up about bestiality, if you don't put that on there, then it'll come up on a regular person's page. Because I'm thinking that an idea or solution would be their parents would have a maybe some type of platform or some type of portal where they could say, okay, anything bestiality I don't want to see on my feed, anything, and I say feed, I mean on my internet. I don't want to see bestiality. I don't want to see murder. I don't want to see black people. Whatever the case might be, you have to put up what that is, right? And then it allows your kids to only see what you want them to see on the internet, and so on and so forth. And then a person as an adult can then choose himself. Listen, I don't want to see no pedophilia. I don't want to see no murders. I don't want to see no politics. I don't want to see any of those things on my feed. Take it off. That way, the person themselves actually get to choose what they want to see, as opposed to somebody else dictating what I can and cannot see. It's very similar to a tier system that, listen, I had talked about before on Twitter, where it's like you have a free-for-all version on Twitter where you can put whatever you want. Then you have like a moderate version where you could kind of talk about, make jokes, things like that. And then you have a kid version where it's like anything that is not 100% geared to being friendly for 7-year-olds cannot be on this tier of the Twitter or Facebook or Instagram or Snapchat. So that's my solution that I have, because I think once we allow somebody else to dictate what we can and cannot see, then our perception is based off what they tell us we can and cannot see. So, for example, think of Donald Trump. If you don't want to see him, that's fine. That's perfectly fine. Maybe you don't like him, you hate what he says, you don't like what he stands for, that's good. But now because you don't want to see him, I can't see him now. Because now they said, we know what? We're going to ban him on Twitter. So nobody can see what he says. And it's like, well, what about the person that wanted to see what he says? I don't have a say in this. I think you should say, okay, the person that's actually watching him doesn't want to see him. You don't look at him. But I want to see what he's saying. So that's one of my solutions that I have for the internet. How do you feel about that? Want some more crackers? But yeah, I'm listening. That's fine. I'll chew over here.
So, first of all, I don't like how you said me and Melissa talked about this as if Melissa agrees with what you're saying. I do not agree with what you're saying. I'm completely aware of the fact that in order to have safety, you will give up some freedom for safety.
Yes.
That is the barter system we have with government, with people in authority. You give up your will of choice, will to do this, to do that, in order to not get shot up in the nighttime or some shit like that. So I feel like there's a reasonable amount of things to give up and a reasonable amount of protection that we would get from them. So I think that when it comes to the internet, I feel like they should be able to censor sexually, non-consensual sexual things. Mm-hmm. I feel like that should be something that should be blocked. I understand what you're saying with if you leave it up there, people will be able to see and pinpoint who is doing what. But I feel like it also opens up an avenue for more people that I guess generally wouldn't be interested in that because they're not exposed to it to then be interested in that, and then it causes kind of something bad can come from that. I feel like. Okay. So, I would prefer for that to be censored. Now, when it comes to the president in that situation, I feel like when the language is that it's very weird. It's very weird. It's really the freedom versus safety thing. So I feel like did not say anything explicitly crazy. So that probably wouldn't be something that would get censored. But then it's kind of like, what if people speak in code language? So they put the code out, and people know what that means. So then, do we now take action for that now? So it's just it's very touchy. So I feel like there should be a general, like, things that just we're not going to do that here. And then after that, it would be on a touch-by-touch basis. Because I also do understand why they wanted to censor him, because they felt like actions came from your tweet. So that's understandable. That's how I feel about it. Do you get what I'm saying?
I do. So this is why I feel like there should be no censorship. This is because once you have some censorship, it's gonna always go down a path to more censorship.
I think that's on the people to fight back. to stand your ground on what freedoms you want to have.
But this is the thing. I think everybody's is different because, like I said earlier, there are certain people who want to hear Donald Trump, but because other people do not want to hear him, they banned him. But you could find a million people who would say no, put his Twitter account. You could find people who don't like him who would say put a Twitter account back. And that's why I feel like there should be zero censorship. And the only person that should have the ability to censor is the people who is taking in the information or taking in the media. It's the person who's sitting at the computer and goes, you know what? I don't want to see Donald Trump. I don't want to see unconsensual sex. I don't want to see BCI. I don't want to see any of these things.
But like, I feel like that lets the people that want to see those things like kind of run rampant. And that could result in actions that would be like either predatory or, because me being a female, I think of all these things from a female perspective. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking, okay, if you're watching pedophiles and you're watching people getting raped, like I have to think about it in the sense of, okay, I'm a smaller person, I'm a female, I would be the one that in these situations would be targeted, mm-hmm. right? So I don't want that out there. Because I don't want people to think that this is a normal thing or an okay thing or something that would lead into it being a detrimental situation for a lot of females. Mm-hmm. So that's why I'm looking at it from the point of like it shouldn't be there at all, mm-hmm. because it allows people to feel either entitled or like intrusive in your space.
Okay.
Like, I feel like it won't. That's what it is. I don't think it'll just stay on the internet. The problem is when things leave the internet. Because it wasn't, in order for that to be happening, it didn't happen like just on the internet. It's not like somebody drew it and it just stays in that space.
Right.
So it happened here first, and then it went onto the internet. So it's kind of like it can happen again. Like someone will see this and then take it back out into the real world.
Yeah. Now, yeah, because this kind of conflicts with what I thought about before, where it's like who should be in charge of what people see. Now, my problem with where we are right now, I think people who are in charge are making the wrong decisions about what people can and cannot see. Now I'm thinking about with the situation where they were cutting people's heads off. Do you remember this? Yeah. Now, if people were to watch that and then go and cut somebody else's head off, I could see possibly how that could cause an issue. The reason I say that is because if this person is going to cut somebody's head off from watching a video, there's something wrong with this person. And I think they were going to do some wild shit before they watched this video.
And I think that a lot of the times, sometimes things just don't enter your headspace.
But that's the thing. The fact that you can say unconsensual sex, that it's a thing, you know that it exists already. So it's in your headspace. That doesn't, I don't think that means you're going to go out now and try to rape somebody.
What I mean by that is that, like, there might be people that think that certain things aren't possible for you to get away with until they see somebody get away with it.
But see, that is true. This is why I was saying before, put it up. So now we know who is doing this thing. Because now your face is there or her face is there. I know where you work at. I know who posted this. I know where this is seen at. I can track your IP address. I know where this came from.
Like I said, I hear what you're saying, but it's like it's one of my biggest fear. Because okay, like I said, back to the female thing. It attributes to my upbringing. So I watched a lot of Lifetime growing up, a lot of the CSI and all that stuff. Uh-huh. So one thing that they always talk about is how like serial killers love being like acknowledged.
Yes.
So they do it for that. They do it for people to see. They tend to get copycats.
Yes.
So people that are inspired by what they saw. And that's another thing too, because whenever I think of people like that, I think they're crazy, insane, right?
Yes.
But the thing is, if they're charismatic, if they're charming, if they are mixing in truths and whatever they're saying, like that could be like a crazy thing. That's basically a cult. Basically, you're leading people to do this thing that you do because you're charismatic, because you're this, because you're that. So I'm like, if we leave all of that stuff out there, I feel like it really it puts it out there for that to become a thing, and for people to then say, I want to be like so and so, I want to do this, I want to do that, and idolize or romanticize that type of lifestyle, which is like unacceptable in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm trying to break down in my head how this would play out going forward, and I think that my conclusion is that people are flawed, and because people are flawed, there is no solution, because even if what I'm pretty much saying is allow people to make their own decisions, right? Let them choose to do whatever they want to do, and then punish them for doing that, right? So what comes from that is people's natural instincts are very wild.
Yes.
And that's where the problem comes in. However, on the flip side of that is if you give 3 people the ability to dictate what everybody else does, their people are probably going to make bad decisions. So it goes the same thing either way. You're going to have a situation where 3 people decide that all black people should not be alive. That's one thing. Or you'll have a situation where you'll have 20,000 rapists running around because they have a Twitter page that calls rape people. Like, and that will be happening because if you go back to when we were rape and pillage people, that was something that people did. That was a regular thing. Like, we go into a village, rape everybody, and kill them. It's like that's still in humans to do stuff like that. We just have a society that frowns upon that, so it's not as prevalent as it was back then, but it still happens.
Yeah, but I feel like, well, I haven't lived in a society in which they were raping and pillaging people.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like I prefer to live in this one.
Right, but here's the thing: we're still in the middle of it, and I think that's where the problem comes in, because everything is fine now, but it's progressively going to get to a point. Because how would you feel about living in a country where you don't get to have a lot of rights that you have now? Where it's like if you live in like Saudi Arabia and you can't wear this, you can't go there, you can't drive because we said so.
But that's why I said what I said earlier, where it comes down to the people to then decide how much what freedoms that they want.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say decide, I mean like you need to be willing to fight and die for it.
But see, that's my point. Where it's like, okay, if people are not willing to fight and die, let me not even say that. If the power is in the hands of a few people, they are going to get rid of people who are trying to fight against them. Otherwise, you wouldn't have situations where a country is told that black women can't drive cars.
But that's the thing. It would have to take a lot of people to kind of be on the same page.
Okay, but then that goes back to my scenario where it's like if everybody's on the same page, then if everybody decides we want to rape women, do we just start raping women now? Because if we are deciding as people that we're gonna go with our instincts and just let them go, we as people are flawed. So we get together as people, we're gonna be even more flawed. We're gonna do crazier things, and that's why I feel like there is no solution.
I mean, it's never gonna be a perfect solution.
That is true. One thing that I've thought about before, as far as what we're in right now, is the fact that the quote unquote benefit of the dual party system or checks and balances, whether it's real or not, is that the arguing back and forth keeps us somewhere in the middle.
I can see that.
So even though every 4 years I don't get what I want, then 8 years go by, you don't get what you want, I get some things that I want. We're not going in a direction where it's like, what?
It slows down the progress. I feel like everything that we have in place, government-wise,
Mm-hmm.
it slows down the progress.
Right.
Just in general. And one thing that I remember was that I think it was like Patagonia or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
They purposely slowed down
Right.
their trajectory with their sales or how big their company was getting,
Mm-hmm.
because the faster you shoot up, the faster you go down.
Right.
So I'm like, if everything was green lighted,
Mm-hmm.
then you'd be all the way over there. All the way
Right.
to the-
Or left, or exactly, or to the right. So either we could do whatever we want, which is everybody on the left, or we have all these rules, everything on the right. Mm-hmm. So, and I feel like that's one of the pros of the dual party system, where it's like, because we're always fighting about it, we're not going all the way in this direction. We're not going all the way in that direction because we're like, huh?
All this fighting we done did for the past 4 years, you have not.
Nothing happened.
Yeah.
So now it's like, okay, we've stopped ourselves from going down either my solution at first, which is let everybody do whatever they want, or the other solution, which is let certain people decide what everybody else does. So that's something I've been thinking about as far as freedom of speech, not freedom of speech, of how we would have censorship on the internet. This is not necessarily a whole topic. This is kind of an idea that I think it's very interesting to me, that I feel as though the anti-vaccination trend became very popular within the last like 6-7 years. I didn't really hear about that till the last 6 or 7 years, and I'm wondering if that became a trend because of it. It's very similar to the word conspiracy theory. If you don't know what I mean, that is a word that was coined by the FBI to downplay or use as a misinformation campaign to anything that was said that they don't like. So if you said something that they disagreed with, they would call it conspiracy theory, and they would label it as that to erase anybody believing in what you're saying. And I'm wondering if the anti-vaccination thing is very similar, where they've been kind of conditioning people to go, okay, anti-vaxxer, 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 anti-vaxxer. You hear it all the time, and then boom, now we have this huge situation where we all need vaccinations, and they have this word, anti-vaxxer. Oh my God, you're an anti-vaxxer. I can't even believe you. You're just stupid. You're an anti-vaxxer? You're an anti-vaxxer? Oh my God, you must hate everybody. You are an anti-vaxxer. I can't believe that you are out here anti-vaxxing, right? Now, it's an idea that I just thought about because I'm like, I didn't really hear about that term. And I'm pretty sure it's been around for a while, but I feel like it really got pushed over the last over the last decade, I would say probably. It really got pushed. Yeah. And then I'm curious. I would love to talk to somebody who is very against Donald Trump. Like, I would love to have a conversation with them about him talking and him being banned. To see people who want him to be banned. I would love to talk to them because I want to know what their position is on freedom of speech and how they believe that it works. Because I'm always thinking that when people came up with the idea of freedom of speech, it was built to accommodate hate speech. Like, it was literally built in for you to be able to say, I hate you because you're a black. Like, I hate you. I don't care about you. Now, I feel like when it first came up, it's a little bit simpler times. But now that we have like more companies and, because a company can't have freedom of speech, but a person can. Like, a business can't have freedom of speech, but a person can. An industry can't have freedom of speech, but a person can. So you can't say, hey, I didn't hire you because you're black. You have to say something like, well, you're unqualified. You're not white enough. So you can't really say that. You said what? Is that the last one? Okay. Yeah. So that will wrap it up for today's podcast. There are 2 more topics we're going to talk about next week. I'll try and get those on there. It's more about entrepreneurship with school, because you know how I feel about that. Went to school for 1.5 semesters, went to SUNY Potsdam, and got kicked out because bitches ain't shit. And then the news needs to make money first. Remember that. That's going to be the topics for next week. So with that being said, Melissa, can you scroll down on the screen so that I can do my professional outro and we could finish back to what we were doing on this table? Now the outro is, you already know, consultations. DM me. We can get on the phone, or you just DM me about what I said in the podcast. We have a conversation. I love talking to people because the more information I take about what people think about what I'm saying, the more it kind of gives me an idea of where everybody else is at and how far off I am, and it opens my mind. I like to be challenged on what I'm thinking all the time. I love being challenged on it. Actually, somebody commented on a video the other day on one of the podcasts, and they were talking about the vaccine and why is not the vaccine, actually mutations about it. So, and it was very long. So I was reading it. I read it. I did some more research on it after they sent it to me. So now that I did some research on it, I just learned more. And like I said, that's what I would love to have somebody tell me that I'm completely wrong and then tell me why I'm wrong so I can learn from it. Because if I'm learning and people listening to me, I want to be saying the things that are right. So I'm going to do my research, and then I find what I find. Somebody else finds something else. Let me know. So we welcome in guests, even though we shot today at 4:30, which is mad late, between 10 and 12 on Tuesdays. Still working on virtual. Not a fan. Still thinking about doing it. I was thinking about having somebody come on the podcast soon. I was thinking about having another guest on, though, recently. I'm going to look more into that. But if you have not already, go check out our social medias. Mine is DonivanGray, DonivanGray. And my girlfriend's is Anita Byrne, ANE. Whoa, what was that? My bad. Okay. My beautiful, phenomenal, amazing girlfriend is Anita Byrne, ANETABURN. And as you may or may not know, we have multiple different projects, okay? We have the food project. We have the clothing project. Coming to stores near you soon. We have the music project. We have the fitness project. We have the sports project. And we have the Bamboo Project podcast, which you just finished listening to right now. And with that being said, Bamboo Project out.